Mego is with us in Boston. Good morning. Hello. How are you doing after the last 48 hours,
Good
Mego?
morning, guys. It looks beautiful where you are, by the way.
It's awesome. I don't know if you've ever been here, but it's an unbelievable island. Highly recommend. Wiggy would recommend. Courtney would recommend.
Seems like if in your a sad spot, sad state of mind, that is the sunshiny place to be. And that's a little
100%.
bit where I am. I'm gonna try not to be like doom and gloom and a downer over here. I just think it's been a tough 48 hours.
Yeah. I mean, to think about, a couple weeks ago talking about this team, a shoe-in our mind to repeat and to continue to build what could be the dynasty, this dynasty, and where they are now with the questions about, never mind this series, but questions about Jason Tatum going forward. It's shocking, honestly.
Yeah, and it seems like that was the mood at MSG, like obviously the immediate aftermath, because you go from a 42-point game to all of a sudden that image of Tatum being wheeled back behind the stands, which I can't get out of my mind. Like, I just wish I'd never seen that. I don't know how you guys feel, but it's brutal. He gets the surgery right away. Apparently that has better outcomes overall if you go into surgery right away. So, just all the hope that this is a straightforward recovery process for him.
Mego, we've been talking all day and about the Celtics being able to win and winning the series, and I think that's part of it. But I think the biggest question is moving forward. Where if you're the owner of this team or you're in the front office, what's your direction for this basketball team, knowing that you're probably going to be without Tatum all of next year?
Yeah, to me, Wiggy, it's not just about next year. The goal has to be maximizing everything around Tatum's return. Mm-hmm. When you're thinking about competing for championships, and we talk about Jason Tatum being a generational player, a generational talent, you can't just say, oh, forget next year, go back into try to be a lottery team, try to find a young guy, try to, make this kind of trade that all of a sudden is going to change the entire look of your team. It's about Tatum. And whatever you have to do in the next year and the year after that, when he comes back and he's 28 years old, and maximizing those, whatever they may be, 5 years after that, of extending the championship window around him and supporting him, I think that's the reality of what you're looking at now.
Mego, we've talked a lot about money and Billy Chisholm and what the future is going to look like and what the Celtics may have to do to make sure that money-wise they're okay. I saw you interacting with Keith Smith on X, and he was talking about the disabled player exemption, that if Tatum is ruled as more likely than not to be able to play next season, if he's ruled out for next season, they could end up with over $14 million back. How does that play into what the future looks like for the Celtics team?
So again, Courtney, I think, and Keith is great at these kind of number crunching things that honestly, as somebody who was a journalism major, are more difficult for me. I try to do my best, but there's so many different aspects to this and so many different exceptions, and it's been no secret that they're going to try to get under the second apron. They were going to apparently try to do that before this injury. And now when you're looking at a situation where you're probably less likely to be competing for a championship next year, that helps out a little bit. I think what you're looking at is a $238 million tax bill if you kept everyone together for next season. So $14 million, if you look at Tatum and you say that this is a 12-month injury rehab, I don't think that solves much of your problems, but it's just another one of these things to look at when you say, okay, what pieces are going to stay here? What pieces are going to move? Is that something then that can go towards keeping somebody here that you were not looking at, that you thought maybe you'd have to move on from?
But and I think you're right when you say that the team has to look at what it's like, after next season and a little bit beyond. It doesn't make sense to keep all these guys around looking at next year.
So I think it will get a glimpse of that. Unfortunately, to me, because everybody would like to have Tatum out there, you get a glimpse of the future tonight, right?
Yeah.
You see against the Knicks, And the last time I checked, they're still favored in this game, which is Vegas is so strong on the Celtics around this, and I'm guessing the home court advantage that has not worked in their favor in this series so far. I just think that if you kept everybody that you have today and you went into the season, which I don't think is going to happen. I don't think that was going to happen before the injury. If you kept everybody today and you go into next year like that, you're still probably, you're a playoff team, but I don't think you're really competing for a championship. So I think that if anything, this brings into, just stark relief what we were already expecting. But now the calculation for, okay, what do you do the following year? What do you do the year after that? It just becomes much more concentrated around what does a championship team look like? It has to be about maximizing that room around Tatum. And what's the best avenue to do that? And who are the pieces that are going to be here 2 to 3 to 4 years from now?
I think, Mega, one of those pieces, and we talked to Mike Bivens about that, is going to be P. Pritch tonight. And the fact that making P. Pritch your full-time, bringing up the ball point guard and let him start initiating the offense. I think if he can do that tonight, it's going to give the Celtics a great chance to win, because then it takes Jalen off the ball and let him be more of a slasher than somebody who has to create by dribbling. Well, how do you feel about P. Pritch being that guy in that position tonight?
Here's what I love about Peyton Pritchard, Wiggy, is that he is a pace guy. Like everybody talks about fast PP on social media and stuff. He is that's how he keeps an edge in the game. And I think that's something when you look at the way that this team has lost fourth quarters that they've really lacked at times. The pace lags. They play this kind of prevention offense where they want to maintain their leads, from my opinion. And they start, just kind of dribbling it up. It takes forever to get into action, or they take a shot at the very beginning and they lose that clock. I think if you have somebody like Peyton Pritchard and the offense going through him, something that we saw in Game 3 that was really great was that pace, was that sense of urgency on offense. And other guys kind of feeding off of that, moving with intention and just having something that doesn't look like an isolation, stagnant basketball set that we've been seeing so often from this team at the ends of these games.
So if you're Joe Mazzulla, who's your starting five tonight?
Oh, gosh. I guess I would probably go Derek White, Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford. The fifth spot is really where it gets interesting. Do you go, he likes that double big lineup, Joe Mazzulla now, so do you try to start Kristaps Porzingis is the big question to me, because you'd be forcing him off the bench where he has been for the last couple of games, and I still think he looks far from himself, but that's probably where I'd start and adjust from there.
I'd go Porzingis, I'd go Pritchard, I'd go
White,
Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and Porzingis would be the big, and then I would bring Al off the bench. And I would start Porzingis.
So you're kicking Drew Holiday out?
Yeah, because I wouldn't go with the double bigs. I'd go with your four guards and Porzingis. And then let's see if Porzingis is right. And if he's not right, then you bring Allen.
And with kicking Drew Holiday out, do you think that he might look hurt? He didn't look great in the last game.
I didn't think that it looked like a health thing to me. I don't know what it was, honestly. I feel like it was the first game of this series. I know he was struggling with an injury in the last series, but it was the first game of the series where I thought he didn't look outstanding. And it's unfortunate because especially the way the series started, like he was primetime Drew Holiday. So they're going to need a lot of these guys to play differently than they did in the last game, because as we all watched, Tatum was really doing everything in that fourth quarter. I think you need Jaylen Brown to be a lot sharper tonight. So some of the turnovers that we've been seeing from him, I know that's your guy, Courtney, but some of the turnovers that he's been having these last couple of games are very concerning, because I feel like it's taken us back in time.
Mego, we have a poll up. Is this the last time, 2 nights ago, is that the last time we see Tatum and Brown together on the Celtics? I think it's 54-46 no, according to the respondents. Where would you weigh in on that?
I would sit here today and still say no, because I think that anything's possible in the darkest way. Anything is possible at this point. But I feel that is such a I don't know. It's such a core moving decision. That the idea of splitting up the Jays at this point. There are other guys on this team that I would guess that they would look to move unless they were saying, okay, we're really going back to the drawing board. We're deciding to go for blank free agent or blank trade returning player and really change the complete look of our roster, or looking to go into the lottery or get somebody's pick. And honestly, I don't like that idea at all, because I know a lot of people would go, go get San Antonio's pick or make a deal and then forget next year, go into the lottery. I think if you look at NBA players, a young player, if you get somebody from this year's draft, next year's draft, I mean, that takes years for that kind of guy to develop into somebody who's actually going to help you win a championship. And that's where I say you got to get back to Tatum's window, coming back as a 28-year-old. What can you do over the next several years to maximize that time?
You move on from everybody else except for Brown and Pritch. And then if you're bad next year, now you have a high draft pick, but you don't use it for one of them kids in college. You use it to potentially get one of those other guys to now have the new big three being Tatum, Brown, the new guy, and P. Pritch. And that becomes your kind of new dynasty and build around that. That's what I would do, and I get rid of everybody else, and they probably won't be good. And then you hopefully will get a high draft pick, and you use that for, collateral or an asset to get in a veteran guy who might be looking for a change of scenery.
And speaking of the draft, did what occurred this week change your mind at all when it comes to the Kurtspiracy of Luka to the Lakers?
Guys, it was so crazy. Like, I'm never gonna sit here and be a conspiracy theorist. I'm not. I don't wade into those waters, and I think Curtis has us covered there. He's the expert.
I'm on the seas.
He's read the literature, and I think he might be writing some of his own. But what was it? It was like a 1.8% chance that they were going to get that pick.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
They got
come
lucky.
on.
Very lucky.
Come on.
Dumb luck.
Yeah.
If it weren't for dumb luck, they'd have no luck at all.
It was
Dallas.
wild. I'll just say that. Hey, stranger than fiction sometimes, so I don't know.
It's amazing. Teams that lose LeBron all of a sudden get picks, too.
LeBron made me buy into the Kurtspiracy because did you see LeBron
laughing.
on Pat McAfee?
Oh.
No.
Well, and I don't know.
He
I don't think
was
that
on
was
X.
real.
He was on X
Was that
laughing.
AI? Was that AI?
That was probably.
Wait, was
It might have been
deep
AI.
fake?
I think
Did
you got
fall
Eric
for a
Shot.
Did I
deep
get
fake?
Eric Shun? I wasn't
don't
sure.
know.
That's why I
That's
was
scary.
like,
Jake Tapper's got a book on it.
okay, that was AI. I was like, whoa, did LeBron really say that?
You got Bermuda cushed.
All right. Well, that's why I was like, wait a second. Was this real? That's why I'm always scared to throw stuff out there because I don't want to get coached Eric Shun.
No, I think that was old. It wasn't fake. It was just,
Okay.
it was shared as if it was a reaction to the Mavericks getting the first pick. But LeBron
good
did
at it.
tweet out the circle, the emoji, the smiling emojis.
All right.
All right, you like him tonight, Mego?
I do. I do like them tonight, but at the same time, I'm just like, I don't know, guys. Like, I want to be like up for the rest of these guys, and that they're gonna have their backs against the wall and they're gonna play and go out there for Tatum. I think it's just still it's gonna be. I don't think reality is really gonna set in until you get to TD Garden, and Tatum's not there because he's for me personally, like, he's been such a constant presence since that 2018 playoff run that he really led when Kyrie Irving was out and obviously Gordon Hayward was out the entire season. The way that Tatum stepped up there, had that magical rookie season, and, was going toe-to-toe with LeBron James, it was just... It's going to be very, very strange to be there tonight and not have him there. And I just hope for the best for him because it's going to be a whole year of that, I think.
Well, that's the one of the more painful parts of it is the window is so small.
Yeah.
And you're losing 2 seasons with him essentially.
I will say this, it's a little bit of a interesting wrinkle to all of this when we look at these injuries, these Achilles injuries with NBA players. And I know there's like a lot of research out there from actual medical professionals. But if you look at guys who have gone through this, it's guys in their 30s. And guys who are closer to the end of their career, not because of the Achilles injury, but just because of where they are when we look at NBA players, like their time frames of when they're most productive. And so there is something to, okay, hey, Jason Tatum, I think he plays for the best run organization in the NBA and the most responsible one. I think that he is in the greatest city for medical care in the entire world. And I think this is one of the stars in basketball who is the most dedicated to his craft. And so all those things are very much working in his favor when we talk about who's he going to be when he comes back, how long is that window going to be. I don't think you could have more working in your favor than Jason Tatum does, and a lot of that has to do with the kind of person that he is.
Mego, thank you, and we will see you when we get back. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay, I'll see you next week, guys. Enjoy Bermuda.